The Snail, the Ant and the Butterfly, a story by Franklin A.S. Berthnos. It was a very fine weather sunny day. All creeping, crawling, hopping, walking, jumping, writhing animals were each soundly having a cozy afternoon nap. Of course, while all other animals were asleep at such an hour, the industrious ant engrossed himself in gathering food for the future. A giant snail was having a nice and comfortable time in his shell on a decaying log. He was disturbed by an unceremonious visit from the ant. Normally, when the atmosphere is too hot to bear, the snail extracts itself into a suitable hole to estivate, leaving its shell worthless on the surface of the earth. It turns out the ant thought there wasn't any snail in the shell. Due to this periodic behavior of the snail, on finding something in the shell that looked like a compacted soil, the ant went ahead to bite, dig through and rummage it, in hopes of finding something edible. The snail shrieked thunderously out of pain from the bite, and flung the ant in a pell-mell fashion. The ant thumped against a slumbering butterfly near a cozy place, underneath the log. Unfortunately, the sharp and powerful mandibles of the ant grasped the scaly forewings of the butterfly and tore it apart, as the ant groped for a hold. The snail rushed out of his shell, pouring his anger on the intruder. Meanwhile, the butterfly sprung up in fury. The butterfly had two reasons for grudge. First, the disturbing uproar from the snail, and second, the tearing apart of its wing by the ant. On meeting the snail face to face, the grumpy butterfly impulsively flapped the face of the snail with its wings, plenty of time, so swift and so hard, that the snail felt dizzy at once. The snail, being so slow to counterattack this swift assault, tumbled himself over onto the butterfly. The butterfly struggled to free itself, but the snail was way too heavy to be haled aside easily. The butterfly then started screaming, pleading for mercy and panting for breath. The snail had receded into its shell out of dizziness, and so didn't hear the breathless scream of the butterfly. The snail repined the sudden attacks on him, so much so that he experienced paranoia. The butterfly would have died from suffocation, but for the timely assistance of the troublesome ant. The ant crawled carefully into the snail's shell, and expressed its remorse over such an incident, and then pleaded with the snail to get off the butterfly, which it quickly did. It turned out the snail had unintentionally tumbled onto the butterfly, but accidentally fell on it out of dizziness. All three animals expressed their remorse too, and asked for forgiveness from one another. Eventually, each with some kind of pain, went their way peacefully. Moral lessons: 1. Avoid acting on impulse, as that may cause harm. 2. Learn to forgive and forget. That way we can build a better community. 3. Help others in need. 4. Peaceful coexistence is to be preferred to riotous individuality. Else, who would help you solve your problems? 5. Grumpiness will only land us in trouble.